So, in respect to Mental Health Month, especially for men, we're going to talk about rejection today. So, how would you deal with rejection? Now, first and foremost, the first level of rejection you might experience as a guy is childhood rejection. And that rejection might come from your parents, or it might come from your friends. As somebody who struggled with both, finding some acceptance with my parents and also finding acceptance with friends and building friendships, I understand a few of these things. Now, let's start with in-house. Let's start with, how do you build a better relationship with your parents, and how do you deal with whatever rejection might come of that. Now, if your parents say want you to be something that you are unable to be in that moment, what you need to understand is that it's not you that they are rejecting. And they might be rejecting you in terms of they don't want to give you as much attention or affection as you might want as a child, or they might just not be in approval of a lot of the things that you do. But what you need to come to terms with is that what they're rejecting isn't you. What they're rejecting is the idea of what you are doing that is in contrary to what they think you should be doing. So, first and foremost, no parent rejects their child outright. They only reject what their child might or might not be doing in that particular time, and whether their child is not what they thought their child would become. So, childhood rejection from your parents can be a very tough thing to deal with, and it can turn you into a people pleaser and someone who is desperate to find acceptance as you get older and as you grow up. So you need to first come to terms with the idea that, first and foremost, nobody rejected you. They rejected simply an idea of you that they have, and they don't want to come to terms with that idea, because if you simply became another person, you'd find that they greatly accept you, because human nature is like that. We reject what we don't like now, but we can end up absolutely liking it some other time. Because, for example, if, let's say, you are too strong and too masculine, right? Some people might see that as toxic and some people might reject it. But when they are in a position of need, and when they need somebody strong and masculine, they will 100% accept it. So, first and foremost, come to terms with the idea that you are not being rejected as you, as your entire being. It's maybe your current state that is being rejected. So, come to terms with that, and we can move on to the next point. As you get older, you will start to seek attention from peers, friends. Now, the beautiful thing about friends is that if you choose to be a certain person, if you choose to be a particular type of guy, maybe you're a nerd and you like, action figures and all that type of stuff, and you're rejected by people who don't like those things, what you need to understand is that that is not actual rejection. Actual rejection would be valid if it is people who you find interest in, is if it's people who are just as fascinated about the stuff you are fascinated about rejecting you. That would be actual meaningful rejection. Because for me, if I'm rejected by a white dude, I don't give a fuck about that. Or if I'm rejected by somebody who hates the idea of making YouTube videos, I wouldn't give a fuck about that. But if I was somehow rejected by, say, Mr. Beast or Oshaidu Jackson or those guys, those YouTubers, if I was rejected by that community, then that would hurt. But chances are, if I'm in that community, those guys are going to be considerably more supportive because they support what I'm doing. If somebody who hates social media rejects my videos and rejects the idea of me doing videos, their opinion is of no use to me, because first and foremost, they're not in my industry and they're not interested in what I am interested in. So you cannot validate every single piece of rejection from everyone, because some rejection is meaningless. It is absolutely meaningless to you. If you hate, say, vegans, and a vegan comes up to you and is like, I hate the fact that you eat meat and I hate you, will you give a fuck? No, you won't. You won't. So you have to first and foremost be very specific as to whose rejection means something to you, because the vast majority of the world will not accept you. Moving on, and that is friendships. And so pick your tribe and be happy with that tribe, because chances are that tribe will accept you. They will not reject you. Now we move on to the big one, females. How do you deal with rejection from women? Now, a lot of guys have a habit of trying to punch above their weight class in terms of which women they can approach and which women they cannot approach. The vast majority of us men want considerably more beautiful woman than we may actually be able to attain. It is that urge of wanting to punch above your weight, and excel. But with that type of ambition, let's say you're a guy who is like a 5 out of 10 and you're chasing a girl who is an 8 out of 10, you have to come to terms with the idea that unless you have something that she really wants, there's a very good chance that she will reject you. And so, if you come to terms with that, you also have to come to terms with the idea that there are women who will 100% accept you. It is not a clean cut, it's not a set in stone type of thing. Because if you are receiving rejections from all sides, meaning people who are lesser attractive than you, which is highly unlikely, or people who are more attractive than you, and people who are more or less the same level of attraction as you are, you might find that you're just a shitty human being. It's not even because that they want to reject you, it's just because maybe you are bad-mannered, you're rude, you're arrogant, all of those things. But chances are almost everyone can find acceptance somewhere. And all you have to do is keep searching. Because even if you are a very, I don't want to say ugly, but if you're a very basic looking dude and you're trying to go for a very attractive woman, all you have to do is approach as many attractive women as you can, and eventually there is somebody who will accept you. But what you also have to do is you have to build some kind of thick skin. And here's the thing, a strategy to building thick skin is to come to terms with the idea of they have already said no. Okay? And for me, how that came about was when I started approaching girls when I was much younger, my thinking capacity or my thought process going into a lot of these interactions was, she has already said no. And so what's the worst thing that's going to happen after that? Nothing. And the thing is, I have had my fair share of rejections, I have had my fair share of acceptances. And so when you come to terms with the idea that you're not going to die, it's not going to ruin your life, it is something that you become more and more comfortable doing. And the funny thing about it is the more comfortable you become with rejection, the more confident you become. The fact that you have it in your head that they're going to say no, and you have already convinced your brain that it's okay if they say no, it makes you actually more relaxed and more open to the idea of them saying yes. And most importantly, it separates you from the results. Because at this point, you are doing it for the sake of doing it. And women pick up on that. Women pick up on guys who are approaching them without an agenda. And those are the guys they typically want to hang out with. And those are the guys they typically say yes to. I'll give you a simple exercise that I did, and this is a bit extreme, but you can try it out. When I was younger, when I was in the university, I gave myself a simple test to help me build up the courage to approach women. And the test was this. I told myself that I'm going to get the phone numbers of 100 girls in 1 year. Now, here's the thing. I did not succeed in getting 100 phone numbers. I stopped somewhere around 74. I think I got bored, but that experience gave me so much confidence and so much knowledge as to how to approach people and as to how to approach women especially. Now, I do believe if you get good at being able to take rejection from women, and if you get good at being able to take yeses and nos with grace, that sets you up beautifully for the rest of your life. And so, before you take any type of rejection personally, understand that whoever is rejecting you might not be rejecting you entirely. One very big example of situations of rejection versus acceptance is the gold digger videos. Gold digger videos are so viral and a perfect example of somebody rejecting you in your current state but accepting you in a different state. For example, a guy comes up to a girl, he's dressed down, he's dressed, basically he's dressed like a broke guy. He talks to the girl is not interested because of the current state he's in. He walks away from her, steps into a Lamborghini, she sees him step into a Lamborghini, and she comes back running. Which means that it was not him that she rejected, it was the current state that he was in. And the beauty about being a man is people might reject you when you're broke, but they'll fucking accept you when you're rich. It's up to you to decide whether that acceptance or rejection means anything. And to me, it shouldn't mean shit. So, accept yourself whether you are on top of your game, at the bottom of the pile, whether you are killing it or not killing it, doesn't matter. Accept yourself in every shape or form, because everybody around you is just waiting for the perfect opportunity to either reject you or accept you. Thank you. Leave your comments in the comment section, and I'll see you on the next one. So if you're enjoying the content and you're enjoying the video, feel free to like and subscribe, and always do not forget to leave a comment. I'd really want to hear your opinion on some of these videos, and it will help me find a direction as to what type of content you might want me to do next.